You won't believe what happened when my local HOA decided my natural spring was at *flood risk*, even though it had been there, untouched, for decades. One day I came home to find crews on my property, draining the crystal-clear spring I relied on for everything from watering my garden to keeping my land healthy. No warning, no discussion, just gone. Their reason? They claimed it was safety concerns for the neighborhood, but the truth? It seemed more like control than concern. At first, I tried to handle it the calm, reasonable way: calls, emails, meetings, all ignored. So I started digging into what they were really doing, and what I found made my blood boil. It turns out, their so-called solution didn't just affect my land. It triggered a chain reaction that put their entire development at risk. And that's when I realized something. They messed with the wrong person. So I got to work, not out of revenge, but to show them what happens when you try to manipulate nature and ignore the people who care for it. What happened next wasn't part of the plan, but let's just say the same people who drained my spring were suddenly dealing with soggy lawns, waterlogged driveways, and more than a few unhappy homeowners. And that was just the beginning. To understand how we got here, you need to know a bit more about this HOA. When I first moved in, things were pretty chill. Most of the neighbors were friendly, and I kept to myself, taking care of my land like I always had. The spring on my property had been flowing for generations, pure, clean water that supported a small ecosystem. Birds, deer, and even local kids who'd grown up around here loved it. It wasn't just some ditch in the yard, it was part of the land's identity. But then a new HOA board took over. Suddenly, they started cracking down on everything: paint colors, lawn heights, even what kind of garden tools you could keep in view. I kept my head down, but I knew it was only a matter of time before they came for something bigger. And sure enough, one rainy season, they blamed my spring for water pooling near a sidewalk halfway down the street. Never mind the blocked drains or poorly graded lots. They said my spring was the culprit. Without warning, they filed a complaint, and one day it was just gone. Drained out, rerouted, and fenced off. My land dried up while their manicured lawns stayed perfect, for a little while at least. But they didn't realize that messing with natural flow has consequences, and nature always finds a way. After they drained the spring, things started to change, fast. My yard turned into cracked dirt, the trees began to brown, and the birds that used to stop by disappeared. But I wasn't the only one noticing changes. A few houses near the bottom of the hill started dealing with soggy yards, and one neighbor even mentioned their basement sump pump was working overtime. At first, they blamed the rain, then they blamed their landscapers, but I knew exactly what was happening. By cutting off the natural flow from my spring, the water didn't just vanish, it redirected. The HOA had hired a crew to reroute it underground, supposedly into a safe drainage path. But I found the plans they submitted to the county, full of shortcuts, miscalculations, and rushed approvals. Turns out, they had no clue how water would behave once they disrupted the natural terrain. And now, instead of trickling down through a slow, steady spring, that water was backing up in unexpected places, under lawns, along fences, even beneath driveways. One neighbor, Mr. Hale, but I knew better. I've been documenting everything for weeks: photos, videos, even drone shots showing how the water used to flow naturally through my property. Now, that flow was trapped, redirected, and building pressure in all the wrong places. I hadn't said a word yet. I just watched, because the moment of truth was coming. And this storm, it was only the beginning. Just when it seemed like the storm had caused enough chaos, something even more unexpected happened. The next morning, a sinkhole opened up, right at the edge of the HOA's improved drainage path. It swallowed part of a sidewalk and half of a neighbor's decorative fence. Emergency crews were called in, and for the first time, the HOA couldn't just sweep things under the rug. News vans showed up, asking questions. Neighbors were filming, posting, tagging local officials. Suddenly, everyone wanted answers. And here's where the second twist hit. Someone anonymously leaked the HOA's internal emails. Screenshots started floating around in neighborhood group chats, showing that they knew the spring wasn't the real problem. One message even admitted they rushed the drainage work just to avoid paying for a proper engineering study. Turns out the flood risk excuse wasn't about safety at all. It was about protecting property values, even if it meant gutting something natural and deeply rooted in the land. That changed everything. People who'd supported the board started questioning what else had been hidden. The community was divided, some furious, others scared, and a few just trying to stay out of it. But the damage was already done. The land had shifted, the truth had started to leak out, and the HOA's grip on the neighborhood was slipping. And the worst part, the ground wasn't done moving. A few days after the sinkhole, the county finally stepped in. Inspectors walked the entire neighborhood, taking notes, snapping pictures, even asking *me* about the original water flow. I showed them everything: maps, footage, the way the spring used to wane gently through my land. Their expressions said it all. The HOA hadn't just mishandled the drainage, they'd made the situation worse, way worse. Within a week, the county issued a formal notice. The HOA's modifications had violated local water management codes. They were ordered to halt all further work and begin a full remediation plan at their own expense. That meant tearing out the underground pipes, restoring the natural water path, and repairing the damages across multiple homes. The board president, who once told me my spring was a nuisance, suddenly resigned. 2 more members followed. The homeowners started organizing their own meetings, pushing for change. For the first time in months, people actually wanted to hear my side. But just when I thought it was over, one final twist hit. While the county was mapping out the remediation, they discovered a small, unregistered structure built by the HOA right near the storm drain. Turns out it was blocking runoff from multiple properties, not just mine. That hidden structure had been causing backups for years, and no one had noticed until the spring was gone. Funny how nature always tells the truth, even when people try to bury it. After the county's discovery of the hidden structure, everything unraveled fast. What started as a simple spring drainage turned into a full-blown investigation into how the HOA had been managing the neighborhood's infrastructure for years. Homeowners who once ignored the signs were now digging through records, asking questions, demanding transparency. The HOA was forced to bring in actual engineers to fix the damage and work with the county to restore the natural flow of water, including reopening my spring. Bit by bit, the land started healing. Birds came back. My trees began to recover. The small stream returned, not exactly as it was, but close enough that I could feel things balancing out again. Neighbors who once avoided me now waved and asked for advice on native planting and water-smart landscaping. And the new HOA board, let's just say they've taken a much more hands-off approach. This whole experience taught me a lot, not just about how fragile nature can be, but how powerful it is when left to do what it's meant to. Water finds its path, no matter who tries to block it. And sometimes, when people finally stop fighting it, that's when real change flows in.